Do you even understand what I'm saying? The CEO snapped, his voice bouncing off glossy conference walls thick with condensin. The maid flinched slightly, but didn't stop folding napkins, her movements calm and precise. Around the polished table, a dozen executives sat stiffly, avoiding eye contact with either of them. No one spoke. No one defended her. He stood tall at the head of the room, radiating power and impatience. This is a corporate boardroom, not some cafeteria. Try to keep up. He was furious about Asma watering on the table, reticlined, barely visible, yet somehow the center of his morning meltdown. She said nothing. She didn't roll her eyes or offer excuses. She just kept working the way she always did, efficient, quiet, invisible, until she looked up. She didn't raise her voice, didn't flinch, just met his gaze directly and said with calm clarity, "You should be careful how you speak in front of someone who knew your father's code." The room went still. Confused, the CEO blinked, caught off guard. "Excuse me," he said, softer now. She folded her gloves, placed them neatly on the edge of the table, and said, "Your father, Brigadier General Howard Lindell. He used to say it before every field operation, a Nord for pride. Orders before ego. He heard it more times than I can count." Now the silence in the room was heavier, the kind that settles when something's in port is unfolding. The exec began to realize they weren't looking at just a maid anymore. Cheffy's lips parted, but no words came out. She continued, not angry, just matter of fact. "I served under him military intelligence. I handled molten ale, signal intercepts, coordinated joint briefings, ran counter-surveillance analysis for coalition teams. 13 years until I took shrapnel during a vehicle extraction in Ramadi." She paused, letting it settle. "I came home with a limp, and a file too sensitive for most civilian jobs. Tay process. I applied to this company at Wise, once for an analyst position, once for security operations. I didn't even get an interview." Gasps rippled softly around the room. One of the olders adjusted his glasses. Another closeted his laptop slowly. The young HR manager leaned in slightly as if hearing the truth for the first time. She took a deep breath. Voice still steady. "So I cleaned offices instead because the bills didn't care about my deployment trek. And you?" She looked at the CIO. "You never asked? Not once?" The CO sank into his chair, stunned. This wasn't the moment he'd prepared for today. She didn't look away, didn't link. "You talk about leadership. You talk about discipline and performance. But today you yelled at someone who tranked you in every way that actually matters." Still, she didn't raise her voice. That's what made it land harder. Flashback to her story. She unsoperated out of makeshift bunkers, decoding transmissions with minutes to spare before lives were lost. She ancested between silence and catastrophe. Fluent in 7 languages, trained in battlefield triage, and armed with nothing more than a headset and a mind sharper than most blades. She never expected medals, but she didn't expect to be forgotten, either. When Cher turned stateside, the world had moved in. People thanked her for her service-eat gas stations, but doors remained closed. She tried, God, she tried, until dignity ran dry. Until the only people who saw her anymore were Thasu, who thought she was just help. Back in the boardroom, no one moved. Then one off the executives, tall, mid-40s, former Marine, his lapel pin barely visible, rose to his feet and gave a firm salute. She returned it with clean precision. It was the only sound in the room. The CO treat again. "Why didn't you tell Samin?" he asked, this time quietly. She gave a faint smile, tired but kind, because no one ever asked. "You all walk past people like me every day, assuming we'll never mattered. But I promise you, some of us have stories that would make this whole room go silent." Then shuddered to leave, pausing only once near the door. For what it's worth, she'll sat over her shoulder. "I won't be here much longer. I've accepted a strategic analyst position with Helix Corporation." They saw past the mob, and just like that, she was gone. The next day, a quiet memo circulated through the company. New initiatives on veteran hiring, reviews of rejected applications, sensitivity training for executives, but none of that erased what happened in Thought Room. What erased their certainty? What made them all sit back and wonder how many more stories like hers they had overlooked? The CEO didn't yell again Thought Week. So, you never know who's in the room with you. Never assume Simeon's value by the job they do. Some uniforms are folded away, but the soul that wore them never left. Before we'll wrap up this story, drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from. Don't just scroll, we're reading every single one. If this story touched you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, let us know how you feel in the comments.